Tonight, Raw was at the Norfolk Scope in Norfolk, Virginia. The same Scope where many, many years ago, I believe it was back in 1998, WCW ran an episode of Nitro. It was the same night that DX drove their Jeep tank right up to the gate, right up to the garage door. Would have gone inside had Eric Bischoff not lowered the gate like a big puss. There was nothing on this show tonight that was nearly as interesting or as exciting as what we saw on that show when they showed highlights of that back in 98. That's the unfortunate part. Tonight we had in the main event, we had the Bloodline. What else? What else is new? We had Solo Sikoa and we had Jey Uso. Jey Uso said that I'm going to deliver you like a fucking FedEx package to Roman Reigns. I'm going to deliver you to the tribal chief if I beat you tonight. Solo Sikoa doesn't want anything to do with this crazy family and says, when I beat you, you guys leave me alone. I want nothing to do with you anymore. That was the basis for our main event tonight. So we had, on one side of the ring, we had Solo Sikoa, a heel who never turned babyface, but acts like one. And then we had Jey Uso, a babyface who never turned heel, but still yeets on his way to the ring, and the fans sort of take him as a babyface, but I'm not quite sure what he's supposed to be. It's no wonder the crowd was dead for the majority of that match in the main event. They don't know who are they supposed to cheer for, who are they supposed to like. Well, we kind of like this guy, but now we like this guy, but he's kind of still a heel, and I don't know. It was as dead of a main event as we've had on this show in a while. But again, Jey Uso promised to deliver him if he won, and he did. They beat Solo Sikoa, which means that next week, Roman Reigns is back, by the way. He returns. Another Roman Reigns return. I always chuckle when they put the graphic up and Michael Cole says, Roman Reigns returns next week. He does that a lot. And I guess in theory now, Solo Sikoa is going to have to bend the knee, just like Jacob Fatu did when he lost to Roman back in May, and he's going to have to rejoin the family. Now, just because he lost this match tonight doesn't mean that, oh, they're putting him in the bloodline and it's just going to go back to same old with Solo Sikoa. Obviously, they're trying to tell some sort of story here, and I suspect that if he doesn't spike Roman next week, he will not be back in the bloodline for too long. I'm sure there's some sort of story that they'll play out here. But in the meantime, if that is how this is going to work, then yes, next week we may well see Solo Sikoa temporarily go back to the bloodline. And that sucks. But I'm watching this show and I'm watching this main event and I'm like, man, what would they do if they didn't have the bloodline? If Triple H wanted to actually move away from the bloodline or maybe phase them down a little bit, try to come up with, I don't know, something a little unique and fresh here on this show. What would this show look like? What would Monday Night Raw look like? I feel like this show would be unrecognizable. You take away the Bloodline and the Judgment Day, who have been around for like 7 years now, it feels like. This would look like a totally different show. I almost said wrestling show. This would look like a totally different show. You get that same old feeling. It sucks. You know what I mean? It's the over-reliance on the same stuff, the same story, over and over again. All they have to do is just try to figure out new ways to keep it interesting. Unfortunately, they don't do that enough. We had Penta and Laredo Kid tonight. It was the kickoff of the tournament to see who will be challenging Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship, September 14th. Raw will be in Mexico City. And so tonight it was Penta and Laredo Kid to kick things off. Gee, I wonder who won that match. I wonder who's winning this tournament. I'm actually okay with the tournament. I think it's a fun concept, as predictable as it may be. But it's just funny to me, like I'm watching this match tonight, and it had to be the slowest lucha match that I have seen in a very long time. And it doesn't matter that they have a tournament. It's supposed to be full of luchadors. Luchadors from Raw, SmackDown, AAA. This was only match number 1. Not the most exciting match. It's what I call WWE lucha style. Not traditional lucha style. Penta is moving on, though. Obafemi and Braun Breaker last week was a direction that they teased, and that got my interest because that's a match that I would like to see, and I don't want to have to wait until next year to see it. And the sense I got from last week's show is that this is coming up very soon, like the next PLE or Sunday night's main event. I don't know, but it's coming up very soon. And tonight, we had another step in that direction. Obafemi was on the show. Like, blink and you missed it. He didn't really do a whole lot. But we had another exchange between them where they almost got physical, but the officials got between them, right? Keep them apart, no physicality. So that's good, right? We're moving the ball down the field here as we get closer to that match. First time ever, Obafemi and Braun Breaker, whenever we are actually going to end up getting that match. The thing that really confounds me, though, on this show is the booking of Dominic Mysterio. It continues. Every single week, Dom is just beaten down and beaten down and beaten down. And I think back to where we were a year ago, a year and a half ago, then as compared to now. And this is also a champion, by the way. The AAA Mega Champion, the Mega Campeón, right? They keep telling us the most prestigious, most important championship in all of AAA. They have Triple Mania coming up. This supposedly big main event that they're going to build around between Dominic Mysterio and El Grande Americano. I'm wondering if that championship is going to mean anything by the time they even get to Triple Mania. This man has been the AAA Mega Champion. He's had one title defense in AAA all year. It was back in March. But forget that for a second. Just his booking here on the main roster has been deplorable. And I get it, like, on the main roster, he's booked as like a chicken shit heel. So he's not going to be like some tough guy. But I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about the fact that this man has not won a match on this show since, I believe, May. We're coming off a SummerSlam where he got beat by fucking Danhausen, who had one of the most awful commercial break segments that I have ever seen in the history of this show, by the way. If you are not watching this show where you can see what happens during the commercial breaks, you should be very grateful for that. Because for those of you who saw, that Danhausen segment was fucking horrendous. And then on the actual show tonight, thankfully, they kept him to one very brief backstage segment. This is who he lost to at SummerSlam. And then last week on Raw, he got pinned in the tag team match. So tonight, Dom had an impromptu match that was made during the course of the show, and he lost again. He lost again. Now, there was a report recently, False Finish, shout out to them. I believe they were the first ones to have it, that talked about how Dom is very frustrated with his booking on the main roster. He doesn't understand why he is booked the way that he is because it weakens him in AAA. And of course, ding, 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 he's absolutely right. No lies detected in that. And I can absolutely believe that that's exactly how he feels because that's how I feel. When I watch him on this television show, that's how I feel. You cannot tell me that Dominic Mysterio, when he shows up to work every single week, looks at the creative that they have for him and says, cool, yeah, that sounds good. No. Now, I haven't seen him commenting publicly in any podcasts or interviews or anything like that where he's been putting down creative. The only thing that I've seen is that report from False Finish. So it's not like Dom has been going out there and making comments, but if maybe internally he's been making comments or asking questions or he's expressed a frustration, right? Or he's been disgruntled or whatever the case may be. Maybe that would explain what's going on here because clearly there is a reason why he is being buried on these shows every single week. He has obviously pissed somebody off, or Triple H is sick and tired of hearing how The Undertaker is the best booker in wrestling today. I'll show him. This is Undertaker's top champion. He's being just fucking demeaned on television every single week. Dominic Mysterio has absolutely every right to feel that way. It's been quite something to watch. Tonight was just another example of it. And I still got over a month to go until they even get to Triple Mania. Will that championship even be worth anything by the time they get there? I don't think so. They're punishing him for it, says Greenman. Yeah, that's what it feels like. He is being punished. He is being punished. He's in the doghouse. He has heat. It's the only thing that makes sense here. His booking throughout the entire year, really ever since he beat John Cena at Survivor Series last year, has been deplorable. This is your Raw Netflix review. It is August 10th, 2026. I'm the Solomonster. Thank you guys for being with me here on another Monday night. Kicking off a brand new week after a big sound off yesterday, episode 975. I thank you to those of you who have checked it out, downloaded, streamed, left a comment. Appreciate it. Like and subscribe. Super chats are open. I'll be reading all of your messages a little bit later on here in the stream. You guys know the drill. Hey, Philip Bowman, thank you very much, brother. Take our wheel here for a spin, and then we'll get into the review. Hopefully we get to do some Be the Booker a little bit later. Oh, well, look at that. One of the new options on the wheel, and it looks like we are, in fact, going to be doing Be the Booker later. It's an automatic Be the Booker. Look at that. It's only got one slot on the wheel, too, and of course, that's the one we landed on. Well, hopefully you'll like the video anyway, because it helps get us into the algorithm, so keep hitting that thumbs up. But you got auto B2B. Look at this. This is your night. I wasn't expecting that. Anyway. Moving on. Yeah, look at this. Everyone's throwing a party here in the chat. Everyone's all happy. Don't get lazy on me now. Don't get lazy on me. Michael Cole, beginning of the show tonight, he was setting up a video package to recap the events of last week's main event. That was the big street fight between Jacob Fatu and Royce Keys, which ended with a Jacob Fatu victory and Royce Keys being killed, right? That bright red blood that was dripping out of his mouth. So the update is, on Royce Keys, that is. The update is that he has suffered a bruised larynx. Because remember, they wrapped the chair around his neck. Fatu did the running hip attack in the corner. And he also suffered a cervical strain, and Michael Cole says that he is going to be out indefinitely. Hopefully that means he's just going on a vacation with his girlfriend or something, and then he'll be back in a few weeks. So as they're talking, we hear Solo Sikoa's voice. We don't see him. We don't know where he is. They pan out to the crowd, and he's up in the crowd normally where the Usos would make their entrance. And he's mocking, like Jey Uso's theme song, just me, Us, and he's singing the lyrics to the song and mocking it. So he said he was here to handle some family business. Didn't really get a lot out until Jey Uso's music actually hit, and then Jey Uso made his way down to the ring. So he told Solo that the tribal chief called the play, and now it was time for Solo to fall in line. And Solo asked him if, did you fall in line or did you just fall off? Said, you're a former world champion. Says you won a Royal Rumble. Says you beat Gunther at WrestleMania. Which, you know, as I sit here right now, it doesn't feel quite as impressive now, does it? Yeah, there was a point in time where Gunther really did. He felt like a world beater. And if you were to say something like that, oh, you have a victory over Gunther. Wow, that means something. It means less now than it would have meant a year ago. It's not as impressive. He says, Jay made all the little kids happy. All these things that you did. But now all that crap is out the window, and now it sucks to be you. Solo then reiterated that he is not coming back to the bloodline. Everybody loves where he's at right now, and the fans cheered. Apparently Triple H doesn't. So Jay said that Solo only has his big house. Everything he has, he owes to the bloodline. And then he challenged Solo to a match tonight. And when he wins, he says he will deliver Solo to the tribal chief. He said that that's Solo's warning shot. Pa-pow! Right? And so Solo's in the crowd, and they cut to him, and he's ducking. And he's looking around, and he's asking the crowd, he goes, is anybody shot? Right? Fucking loves Solo Sikoa in this role. So after he makes sure that nobody was mortally wounded, he agreed to the match. He said, when I win, though, everyone in that messed up family has to leave me alone. And that's your warning shot. Pew! Babyface Solo, man. Babyface Solo. I'm enjoying it, even though it looks like we're probably going to get it taken away from us here now for a period of time anyway. But this set up Jey Uso and Solo Sikoa. And look, as much as I'm enjoying Solo and his newfound babyface persona here, when I realized what our main event was tonight, again, I just we're just sitting here feeling kind of defeated because it's 2026. And the Bloodline story has been playing out now for 6 years. Think about that, okay? 6 years. I'm not counting anything that came before it. I'm specifically talking since Roman came back as the tribal chief, okay? August of 2020. 6 years. And we are still sitting here and we are looking at Solo Sikoa and Jey Uso in the main event. Is that supposed to excite me? Does that excite you? Honestly. And again, I've been enjoying what Solo Sikoa has been doing now for the last few weeks. But I cannot sit here and get excited about a Solo Sikoa Jey Uso main event to this television show. I'm sorry. Backstage, Jey Uso walked up to Jimmy and Jacob. Jacob was objecting to the way that Jey handled his business out there. Jey said he's going to take care of the Solo problem all by himself. And Jey reminded him that he couldn't do it, so he's going to be the one to do it. Jacob told him, you better get that dub tonight. Yeah, 6 years. Krypton, 6 years. 6 years. 6 years. I don't ever want to hear about the NWO ever again. Penta and Laredo Kid. This was a first-round match in the tournament to decide a number one contender for Roman Reigns and his World Heavyweight Championship in Mexico City next month. And the crowd goes mild for Laredo Kid. Poor Laredo Kid. How old is Laredo Kid, by the way? He's got to be pushing 40. They said that he made his debut in 2003. I don't know, for some reason I thought he was younger, maybe like early 30s. Is he really pushing 40? I guess so. But this is as quiet as you will ever hear it for a Penta match. Okay, because nobody in that building watches AAA. Not consistently anyway. And nobody knew who Laredo Kid was. And if they did know, they didn't give a shit. But he was in control heading into a commercial break. So Laredo Kid, he escaped a Penta driver. He spiked him with a poison rana. Then he delivered a 450 splash for a near fall. So Kid charged right into a super kick. Then came the backstabber by Penta. Kid rolled to the floor. Penta caught him with a tope out over the top. Wow, yeah, he's okay. Yeah, he's had a longer career than Penta. They did mention that on commentary. I think they said he's been wrestling 5 years longer than Penta, and Penta's 40. So actually, that would make sense. Man. Oh God, Richard, don't say that. Richard says the Death Riders have to match the bloodline. Don't say that. So anyway, the crowd didn't get up for this until late. It went the way you would expect it to go. In the end, Mexican Destroyer, Penta wins. The crowd got with it more there in the closing, I'd say, 2 minutes or so. I liked it well enough, but the slowest lucha match you will ever see. There is a very distinct difference between a lucha match in WWE as compared to any other promotion in the world, including the actual lucha promotions. It's just, they slow it down. It's just a very different style that they are forced to work. That is not nearly as exciting. And it sucks even more when one of the people in the match, again, the people in the audience, they don't know who it is. And so they don't respond to it. They were happy to see Penta win, but like I said, the quietest you will ever see a Penta match here in WWE. We know Penta is going to the finals. We know Penta is winning this. Honestly, anything other than Penta winning this would be a huge mistake and just a colossal fuck up. The only question is, who is he going to be wrestling in the finals? Now, you would think that the surefire thing would be to do brother versus brother, and you do Penta and Rey Fenix. But as I said on the Sound Off this weekend, this is the same creative team that booked the King of the Ring tournament, where we could have had any number of interesting, exciting semifinal or finals combinations, and they gave us what they gave us. So don't assume anything when it comes to this team and when it comes to WWE. I don't think there's really a bad option here, right? Rey Fenix and Penta, that's the match to do. The only other match it could possibly be is Penta and Dragon Lee. And look, Penta and Dragon Lee would be a great match too, right? It's not Phoenix and Penta, but in either case, I think you're going to get a really good finals. But there really is only one match that it should be. First, though, Penta has to get through either La Parca or Psycho Clown. They're going to be having their tournament match on AAA TV this coming weekend, so we'll find out at that point who it's going to be. We had Byron Saxton in the back to interview The Vision. Theory and Maxine, they were making out. Braun Breaker couldn't be bothered to give a shit. He was kind of staring off into the distance very intensely. Clearly still smarting over his face-to-face with Obafemi last week. So after the other Vision members left, they said some shit. It's not important what they had to say. Logan Paul talked. Who gives a shit? So after they left, Braun Breaker stayed behind. And he asked Byron, what do you think of Obafemi? Byron said, I like him. Breaker asked, do you think that Oba is the future? Well, that's what Brock Lesnar said. That was Byron's response. And Breaker told him, you sound like Paul. And he walked off. He didn't say if that was Paul Heyman or Logan Paul. You have to specify which Paul you were referring to. Braun does not need the Vision at all. Well, I've only been saying that for what? About a month now? No, he does not need the Vision. And now on the show, he actually looks completely disinterested in everything that the Vision is doing. Why? I mean, I guess he's bound by the tag team titles. Were it not for the tag team belts, I would ask why he's even still associating himself with these people. There's literally no other reason. Paul Heyman is not even with them anymore. The only thing keeping him with the Vision are the tag team title belts, which in and of themselves don't mean a damn thing. I would just vacate the fucking thing and just go off and do my own thing and worry about Obafemi. I don't even know why he's still associated with these people. Austin Theory against Akira Tozawa. With the announcement, with the announcers on commentary, they were talking about Braun Breaker killing Joe Hendry on the show last week. As they were doing this, Corey Graves on commentary called him Joe Henry. Now, last week, Michael Cole did the same thing. He referred to him as Joe Henry, which made me think maybe they silently changed his name and just didn't tell us. But then later in the show, during one of the commercial breaks, guess who appeared? Joe Henry. So yet another week where he gets no entrance. And he's just in the ring and he's got his guitar and he's going to sing us a song. And he mentioned, by the way, that his new album, which he did record an album of songs. The new album is dropping in October. So I'm sure we're all very excited about that. But beyond that, they put the nameplate on the screen and it's very clear his name is still Joe Hendry. And maybe they ought to think about changing his name since their own announcers can't seem to get it right. Just a suggestion. If you're going to call him Joe Henry, you may as well just change his fucking name. Braun Breaker, he's standing outside during the match. He was not paying attention. Again, he could not give a shit about what was going on. I mean, it was Theory and Tozawa. So, can you really blame him? I thought I was watching Main Event. It was all Theory until late in the match where he got some hope spots, ripped his shirt off Hogan style. Then Theory killed him with a forearm shot and he pinned him. I have no idea why this needed 8 minutes. 8 minutes is what this got. Now, after the match was over, Theory and Maxine, they went for a chair. They were going to use a chair. Here comes Adam Pearce. Here come all the officials. They rush out. They take the chair away. While all of this is going on and this big hubbub, this big commotion is going on outside the ring, Braun Breaker has finally moved. He goes into the ring. He is getting ready to spear Tozawa when we hear Obafemi's music. And he had plenty of time to hit the spear on Tozawa because Obafemi got his full entrance. He could have speared this man 15 times if he wanted to. But in fact, he saved the man's life. So Breaker just stood in the ring and he was waiting for him. As Oba's coming down to the ring, Theory went after him and he got booted down in the aisleway. Oba stepped into the ring and here comes Adam Pearce and his band of merry men. They get in the ring to get between these two, so they never got physical. They never touched. And it was really Oba trying to go after him. Breaker wasn't even trying to go after him. Breaker was actually cracking a smile for the first time as he left the ring. And that's how they ended things. And look, I mean, I understand them not wanting to have these two guys touch. You want people to wait. You want to build the anticipation for it. I don't know when they're going to do the match, though. They don't have a PLE. I'm trying to think, when is the next PLE that they have? If you don't count the Sunday night's main event on Peacock, which is September 6th, I believe, in Atlanta, do they have another PLE scheduled until Money in the Bank is not until like October 10th or something. And they haven't said anything about there being another WrestlePalooza, so I have no idea if they're even doing that this year. I don't know. We have Worlds Collide coming up. That's at the end of September. I don't believe we do. October 10th, we may have to wait a couple of months. We may have to wait a couple of months if they're going to do it on that show. I just can't imagine them giving this match away on TV. They didn't even want to do it in the King of the Ring tournament. I can't imagine them just doing it on a random episode of Raw. So we'll see when we get it. But when we do, I will be seated. I am looking forward to that match. I am glad that they are not going to make us wait 6 months to see it. I think this could be the first of many battles that these two have. The whole basis of the storyline is that Bron Breakker does not like the fact that everybody, including Brock Lesnar, is calling Oba the future when he was supposed to be the future. Now, all of a sudden, Oba's the shiny new toy, right? That's the whole premise of this entire thing. The reality is, I mean, unless Braun falls out of standing with, Triple H or certain people in the company, he's going to be the future too. He just may not be that number one guy, right? That's going to be Oba. Breaker could be, I don't know, if you have like 1A and 1B, right? Or 1 and 2. I think that's probably how they're going to look at them. But these two guys, having a future WrestleMania main event or two, absolutely. Absolutely. They've invested so much in Bron Breakker going back to the 2.0 days of NXT. And they've pushed Oba so hard and so far in a very short period of time that you have to imagine they're not going to squander that, right? But then again, this is WWE. So you can never be sure of what they're going to squander and what they're not going to squander. But I'm glad that we're going to be getting this match soon. Now, in the back, Kathy Kelly interviewed Rey Mysterio, the general manager of AAA, about this tournament, this Roman Reigns tournament. He was talking about it. Dragon Lee was there to thank Rey for his spot in the tournament when Dominic Mysterio walked in, and he was complaining about not getting a spot in said tournament. And I mean, he's not wrong. Theoretically, why wouldn't he be in the tournament? He's the AAA Mega Champion. Why wouldn't El Grande Americano be in the tournament, right? Now, the real answer is because they don't want either one of them to win, and they're building to a match between the two of them at Triple Mania. But if you're going to have a tournament with supposedly the best luchadors in Raw, SmackDown, and AAA, to not have two of the biggest stars in AAA is kind of goofy. You got to admit, that's pretty fucking goofy. And I think you could have had them in there too. I think you could have done it in a way where they both bounce each other out of the tournament, right? You could have had them in there and not had them go to the finals and win. But they elected to not have them in there at all. So Dom is not wrong when he says this. Rey says that Dom doesn't need another handout, and that is how he became a jackass in the first place. Dragon Lee said, I'm going to go find Adam Pearce and make a match between the two of us tonight. Michael Cole and Corey Graves, they showed us Stephanie Vaquer getting taken out by the Judgment Day on Raw many months ago, which led to her being gone. And then her return last week, Becky Lynch and Stephanie, they came face to face. So Stephanie Vaquer made her way out to the ring. And she said she was so happy to be here. She really missed everybody. But most of all, she missed seeing Liv Morgan and the Judgment Day getting scared every time they see her coming. Nobody can destroy her. She's going to run through the Judgment Day one by one. Raquel Rodriguez, I beat you up 1,000 times and I can do it again and again. Roxanne Perez, you're a dead woman. And Liv Morgan, I know you're scared, and you should be because we both know that title belongs to me. So she put each member of the Judgment Day on notice. Becky Lynch interrupts. Her music does. and she comes down to the ring. And Stephanie asks her, what do you want? And Becky says, I want the same thing that you want. I want to beat the piss out of Liv Morgan. Stephanie has a score to settle, but Becky says she just doesn't like her. Liv has taken that championship in a time machine back to the mid-2000s, and she's worked too hard to let that happen. She doesn't know a lot about Stephanie. She's an enigma, a little bit mysterious. She knows Stephanie made a big impact on Raw in a very short period of time, which is impressive considering she's gone more than she's actually there. So she's the Roman Reigns of the women's division. She's had some bad luck. Happens to all of them. But Becky can't decide if Stephanie is a badass that won't give up or if her body quits so her mind won't. And Stephanie can settle her score with Liv, but the title belongs to Becky. So Stephanie doesn't care. If Becky gets her way, she'll learn what La Primera is all about. Stephanie leaves, and at that point, Becky is standing there and watching her, and she gets ambushed by Liv Morgan. And Liv tries for Oblivion, and that gets blocked. And Becky hits Liv with a Bexploder suplex. Stephanie gets back in the ring, and she argues with Becky, and that was that. That was that. Very little Liv Morgan on the show tonight, which I'm actually okay with. But, not much different than what we had last week. We actually got more out of this last week. This was more of just a continuation of that. Stephanie got some promo time, which she hasn't had a lot of since she's been gone. And the teases continue for a Becky Lynch-Stephanie Vaquer match. Now, pick your poison. Are they building to individual title matches first that Liv wins and then we get a triple threat at the end of it? Or is it going to be a case where Stephanie is going to get her shot first, and then depending on how that goes, the winner will get Becky, right? Or Becky will get the winner. I can see a three-way in the future at some point. Maybe they go one by one at first. I just feel like they're not going to change the championship. I feel like we're going to see all three of them in the ring together. Maybe they want to get a couple of singles matches out of it first. I'm just happy that we actually have some competition in the women's division as the championship is concerned, because we had nothing. We had nothing for so long, for so many months coming out of WrestleMania, and it just makes for boring television. And so now we have two big names back in the division. They're all, gunning for the belt. I think that's great. It's just, I don't want another 100 days where we have no women's championship matches. And so I'm waiting for the announcement of when her next title defense is going to be. Hopefully it doesn't take another 2 months. Watch, she doesn't defend it now until Money in the Bank. They do have a Sunday night's main event coming up at the beginning of next month. I think you could have her defend the title maybe against Stephanie on that show. Wouldn't even be surprised if they were going to main event that show with that, honestly. Kathy Kelly was in the back with LA Knight. His Walmart watch told him that it was time for Roman to finally wrestle him. He said he was going to win the tournament and get a title match with Roman, but Kathy reminded him that it's only for luchadors. And at that point, Solo Sikoa walked in. And he asked Knight, did you see what happened to Roy's Keys last week? And Knight said he did. And Solo was hoping to have LA, basically watch his back and help him in his match with Jey Uso. And Knight said, look, SummerSlam, we teamed up, the hug, everything. It went great. I appreciate it, but it was one night only. And Solo tried to convince him, what are you talking about? No, it can't be. It can't be. The bloodline's going to come after me. They're going to come after you. He's trying to talk him into keeping this alliance going for a little while longer. And Knight really doesn't want to have anything to do with him. We had Dominic Mysterio against Dragon Lee. Late in the match, Lee hung him upside down in the corner and then hit a double stomp. Only got a near fall out of it. Dom made a comeback, hit a 619. He came off the top with a frog splash. Dragon Lee, though, got the knees up, and then he hit Operation Dragon for the win. That's all you need to know. That's how the match went, and the AAA Mega Champion once again suffers another loss here on this show. Now, when the match was over, now, we'll talk about Dom here in a second, but for Dragon Lee, speaking of people who can never win matches on this show, this was his first win in forever. And you would think the man would have the opportunity here to celebrate a little bit, but you would be wrong, because as soon as he won the match and got his hand raised, like a sea monster rising from the water, who appears behind him but Big Cass, who destroyed Javon Evans last week. Now it was Dragon Lee's turn. And so he gets in the ring, and he ends up putting Dragon Lee down with the East River Crossing. Javon Evans' music hits. He runs out to the ring, and he went to go attack Cass. Cass just swatted him out of midair. I think it was a clothesline as Javon was trying to springboard into the ring. And he ended up booting him down, and so Big Cass stood tall at the end of this. Poor Dragon Lee. Poor Dragon Lee, his first singles win on Raw in a year. You would have to go all the way back to August of 2025. John Cena was defending his championship at SummerSlam against Cody Rhodes, and Brock Lesnar was first returning to the company. He's retired now, supposedly, but he had first come back that night. That's how far back in the past you would have to go to find an episode of this television program where Dragon Lee actually won a match, a singles match. And so you would think this would be a big win he could celebrate. Instead, he gets immediately wiped out like a geek. Speaking of geeks, that brings me to Dominic Mysterio. And I don't have too much to add to what I kind of went off on here at the beginning of this stream. I tweeted this out during the show. As soon as the segment was over, I said, why are they jobbing their AAA Mega Champion out so much on this show? Dominic Mysterio has not won a television match, a singles match here on this show, maybe any match, since May. Since May. We are now in August. Now, if you were to tell me that about JD McDonough, okay, that's kind of his role in the Judgment Day. But Dom, something's going on here. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. He fell out of favor with somebody in this company. Maybe it goes to the very top of creative with Triple H, but whatever it is, they are humbling this man. And I don't know why. Because if he is in fact frustrated, with his usage or the way that they're booking him on this show, maybe he has expressed that internally to people. He should be. I'd be asking those same questions if I were him. In a polite way, but it's like, you've put me in this position to where I'm holding this championship for a brand that they clearly want to focus on. They're always talking about AAA. They're trying to push the AAA stuff. They had that incredible match at the end of May in AAA with El Grande Americano Kaiser and El Grande Americano Gable. It will probably end up as the match of the year on some people's list at the end of this year. And they have a bunch of big shows coming up, big AAA show at the end of this month. They're booking Worlds Collide against AEW All Out at the end of next month. They have 2 nights of Triple Mania coming up. They just left the Luxor in Las Vegas to book the much bigger MGM Grand for night 1 of Triple Mania. You would think this is important to them. And if they've had this championship on this kid now, and this is their most prestigious belt in that company, they would take steps to protect him whenever he is used. Even though it's not AAA television, it's still Monday Night Raw, it's going to have more visibility. It's like they've taken the opposite approach. How can we bury this man and make him look as impotent as possible? I don't understand the logic behind that. The only thing to explain it is that someone got a bug up their ass and they're punishing him for something. But he has every right to be frustrated. He has every right to feel like, man, I would like for my booking on Raw to be a little more serious, like it would be in AAA. I don't think that's an unreasonable request if that's honestly how he feels. Like, he's had a role on this show for a long time as part of the Judgment Day with Liv Morgan and the chicken tendies and playing video games and all that bullshit and running away from people. But it's time to toughen him up a little bit. If you're going to put him in that position, then book him like a champion. And if you're not, then take the title off of him and then bury him into the fucking earth. I'm sure they're going to take the belt off him next month anyway. He's going to lose it to El Grande. Is his booking going to improve at that point? It may get worse. It's not like the title is certainly helping him or protecting him in some way. He got on someone's bad side. Maybe he has spoken out of turn about creative. Again, he hasn't spoken about it publicly, but that report leaked. Maybe that rubbed people the wrong way, but this is not like a recent thing. Again, this has been going on for months. This is not something that's just happened in the last couple of weeks. And it just doesn't make any sense otherwise unless he is being punished for something that he said. Byron Saxton was in the back with Sol Ruca. And he asked Sol about her tag team match coming up a little bit later on tonight against the Judgment Day, Raquel and Roxanne. She says she's tired of the Judgment Day vortex that she's been stuck in. Tonight's all about revenge. And after she wins, she's going to try to win back her Intercontinental Championship. It wasn't hard for her to find people who were also mad at the Judgment Day, which is the person that she found to be her tag team partner tonight, because she has a mystery partner. And then Danhausen appeared. This was his lone segment on the actual TV show. Roderick says, you would think he was getting suspended for PED usage with this type of job. Oh yeah, because he looks like he's been really on those PEDs. Oh yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what it is. But Danhausen walks in and he says, I'll be your tag team partner. And Sol says, sorry, the spot's already filled. Meanwhile, LA Knight was talking to Adam Pearce about this tournament coming up, and he pulled out a fucking lucha mat. I joked about this with someone the other day. I'm like, the L in LA Knight stands for lucha. Let him put a mask on and enter the tournament. He had the mask in his hand, and Pearce is like, look, you're not in the tournament, but I agree with you, and I promise you, I make a promise to you right now, when that tournament is over, I will find a way for you to get your opportunity and become number one contender. So that just confirms it right there, that we're going to get LA Knight and Roman Reigns at Money in the Bank, right? They're going to hold this off until the next PLE. This tournament is going to culminate on September 14th. So if Pearce is going to give him the chance to, I guess, become number one contender at some point after that, that's a month, right? A month until Money in the Bank. Plenty of time for them to play that out on TV, put him in a tour. Well, they just did a tournament, but put him in a battle royal or some kind of match where he can win and he could become number one contender. And there's your title match at Money in the Bank. I think that's when he gets the shot. Now, Jacob Fatu was there. When Knight turned around, he went to go walk, and there's Jacob Fatu. He wants to know why Knight keeps talking smack about his family. And Knight tells Jacob to go talk to your tribal dad over there. Jacob says, he gets very angry. He tells him to shut his bitch ass up. And he's going to dog walk him. He goes through all of his catchphrases. He was very animated here, was Jacob Fatu. I do wish LA Knight would have entered that tournament in a lucha, like the whole Juan Cena thing. That would have been great. What would he call the BFT? He would need a different name for it, like some sort of lucha name for the BFT. We had Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez representing the Judgment Day, taking on Sol Ruca and her mystery partner, which turned out to be Io Sky, who lost to Liv Morgan at SummerSlam. Io caught Raquel with a springboard moonsault to the floor. I'm just going right to the end of this match here. She caught her with the SAIYAN moonsault to the floor. In the ring, meanwhile, Roxanne went for pop rocks on Sol. Sol flipped out of it, and then she hit the Soul Snatcher, and she picked up the win. This got good in the closing minutes. I mean, it was solid. It was fine otherwise, but it got good in the last couple of minutes. But then later in the back, as Sol and Io were walking and they were all happy about their big win here, Lyra Valkyria showed up, and she said, she was being very facetious, and she said, wow, what a team you guys make. She's so happy for Sol getting that win. She bets that Sol's ready to backflip her way back to Lyra's Intercontinental title. If Lyra hasn't been able to get the belt back, what makes Sol think that she can? Sol asked her, what have you done to get a title opportunity? And Lyra told her, go ask Bayley. She said if Sol gets in the way of her getting back the championship that she created, she's going to regret it. Don't mess with me. She'd be very careful if she was Sol. She keeps bringing up Bayley here and there. Not that she's been on television a whole lot, but when she is, even during the commercials or whatever, when she cuts a promo, she's mentioned Bayley a whole bunch of times. I'm sure when the time comes for her to get in the ring with Sol, or there's like an IC title opportunity at stake, that'll be where we see Bayley back. Because I'm sure Bayley will be back, and they're going to run that back with her and Lyra. I'm sure that she's not done yet. Also in the back, Braun Breaker is walking along, and wouldn't you know, there's Paul Heyman again. Randomly standing in the back just watching the show on a monitor. Maybe he has been banned from the gorilla position, the way that The Miz was banned from the locker room all those years ago for eating chicken over Chris Benoit's bag. I don't know. He's been banished to the hallways. This is how he has to watch the show now. He has nobody to manage anymore. He ditched the Vision. Brock retired, so he's got nobody. So he just stands there now. And it looks like a video game cutscene where you got to walk up to the guy and you have a conversation. So he walks over. I just did the Heyman waddle. So he walks over to Paul Heyman and he asks Heyman, do you think that Obafemi is the future? Because at first he goes, I assume you saw what happened out there. He goes, yes, I did. He's like, can I ask you a question? He goes, you can ask me anything you want, Braun Breaker. And he goes, do you think Obafemi is the future? And Heyman's eyes get all wide because, he doesn't want to answer that question. And he gives some just long-winded non-answer. Says that he respects Obafemi and he'll keep showing respect to Obafemi until Braun Breaker shows him that Obafemi is not worthy of that respect. And so it sounded to Braun Breaker like maybe that was an acceptable answer. He was kind of intrigued by Heyman's answer when he put it like that, and then he walked off. So that was the gist of that. And again, Heyman being involved here, I would hope that as we go along or at the end of all this, they kind of link Breaker and Heyman back up. Get Breaker the fuck away from this. The Vision shouldn't even be a thing anymore, by the way. Now, if you want to keep Theory and Logan Paul together, maybe they go back to being a tag team once Logan's arm is all healed up and have Maxine manage them, I think that's fine. Where Bronson Reed is going to fit into all this, I don't know. He doesn't need this either. The Vision was a nice idea in theory, no pun intended. It was a nice idea in theory as far as Seth Rollins being paired off with a couple of guys that they could sort of not build around, but like obviously Breaker at that time was looked at as the future, right? A future world champion. I don't know that they really ever saw Bronson Reed in that role, but Reed did well for himself, okay, as part of the original Vision. Once Seth Rollins got hurt, the group was dead. It was dead. That was it. You can, like the Judgment Day, you've had members leave, you plug new ones, and that's not what the Vision is. Once Rollins got hurt, that should have, and they made the decision not to go with Braun Breaker as the de facto leader of the group. Instead, they had Paul Heyman as the leader, and Braun Breaker went back to being, the Braun Breaker he was before. That should have been the end, or the beginning of the end of that group. That was in, what was that, October, November of last year? It's August. Why is the Vision still a thing? So this group shouldn't even exist anymore. But if it is going to continue to exist, then let it exist without Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker, now, as compared to where he was a year ago, 9 months ago, the beginning of this year, he has been knocked so far down. Like, if he was up here on the ladder, he's been knocked down so many rungs from where he was. And I'm tired of hearing people say, well, he got hurt. Oh, he got hurt. Right. Okay. Well, he had a fucking hernia. Okay. It happens. It was an unfortunate injury. He recovered from that. He came back. I know it stalled his momentum there for a couple of months, but you can't just blame it on the injury. You blame it where blame belongs, on the booking. He is colder now than he was 9 months ago. And you could say that about a lot of guys. It's time to break him away from this. Him being associated with this crew is not doing him any good. It's not. But putting him with Heyman and keeping them together as a pairing is something that I think would be in their best interest. Not pairing Heyman up with Oba or any kind of big swerve at the end of this. Heyman's involved in the story, so he's going to end up with somebody. That somebody should be Breaker and not Oba. But he's kind of a central figure in this story, so you would imagine that at the end of this, Heyman's going to be linked to somebody. So Rey Mysterio was backstage. He was chatting with Penta when the Intercontinental Champion Chad Gable showed up. He put Penta over for his match earlier. Penta then left, And Gable put Ray over for all the work he's been doing with AAA and with his big tournament that he came up with. And so it got him thinking. It would be his honor to defend the Intercontinental Championship against the greatest luchador of all time. And I thought to myself, well, that's going to be impossible unless you have a seance, because how are they going to get El Santo to challenge for the Intercontinental Championship? But since he's dead, the only one left is Rey Mysterio. So he wants to defend the title against Rey Mysterio. And Rey said that he would be honored. And Gable said he was going to go talk to Pierce about making the match. I mean, look, you want to do Rey Mysterio against Chad Gable, that's fine. But, like, did we not just see Rey Mysterio challenge Penta for the Intercontinental Championship in June? And Rey got beat. So what's the plan here? Are we just going to run this back and have Rey lose again? Is he going to challenge every couple of months for the Intercontinental Championship? Because I certainly don't want to see it go the other way. I'm just a little confused here on why they're even doing this when we basically just saw this 2 months ago. Blue Demon, yes, Blue Demon. Chad Gable against Blue Demon for the Intercontinental title. So they closed with Jey Uso against Solo Sikoa. They were having a very standard, very dull match when Solo set up for the Samoan Spike. Jimmy Uso, Big Jim, suddenly appeared at ringside to distract Solo. Jey caught Solo with a spear, only for a near fall. Jey went for another spear, got blocked. Jimmy got up on the apron. Solo hit him with the spike, and he turned around. He got speared. Jey went up to the top. He came off with an Uso splash, and he picked up the win. And with that win, Jey Uso gets to hand deliver, like a Christmas gift, Solo Sikoa to Roman Reigns next week. And at 10:18 p.m., we were off the air. An early end to Raw tonight. And I'll say what I said at the beginning. What would this show look like without the Bloodline or the Judgment Day? It would look like a completely different show. I don't know that Triple H would even know what to do. He wouldn't know. I think he would panic if he couldn't just lean on the Judgment Day for 3, 4, 5 segments every week and lean on the Bloodline for the same number of segments every single week. These stories have been done to death. These groups have been used and abused. Why are we still doing this? You know, the first season was really good television. The second season was actually pretty damn good too. By the time you get to season 6 and season 7 and season 8, I'm not saying it's impossible, but there are very few TV shows that by the time you get into the later seasons like that are nearly as good as they used to be. The quality tends to degrade. The stories, it becomes kind of harder to tell interesting stories, and eventually the show gets canceled. But not in WWE. The show goes on. It just keeps getting renewed and renewed and renewed. I don't know what season we're on at this point for the Bloodline. I think we're in double digits. I think that's where we are. I've been enjoying babyface Solo Sikoa, and it feels like, at least temporarily, that may be going away very soon. So now Solo must rejoin the family. Or will he? That's the question. Or will he? We'll find out next week. Now, maybe Solo will spike Roman instead of, like, at the moment that he is supposed to acknowledge him. Maybe he'll spike him and he'll get a big pop for it. Or he could rejoin the family, temporarily until LA Knight gets his match at Money in the Bank and he challenges for the World Heavyweight Championship. And instead of helping Roman Reigns in the moment of truth, he turns against him and he helps LA Knight win the World Heavyweight Champion. Yes. I kid. I'm trying out some new material. I'm making my debut at the Comedy Cellar later this week. It's open mic night. I just had to try some of my material out here, work out the kinks. You'll have to excuse me. We'll see next week what happens. Roman Reigns is going to return yet again on the show, and he'll come out and he'll ask everybody to acknowledge him, and he'll want Solo Sikoa to acknowledge him, and we'll get more bloodline lore next week. I can't wait. That sounds so exciting. Sounds like a pipe dream, huh? I'm sure the LA Knight fans would love that. All right, Solo Sikoa, of all people, being the one, like when Roman is expecting him to do the right thing, right? The referee has been bumped, and whatever it is, right? We need Solo. The Usos are like, come on, Solo. And Solo is like, nah. He spikes him. Everybody pops. BFT, 1, 2, 3. All the LA Knight fans would rejoice. But you would have to be out of your mind to honestly believe that WWE and Triple H would actually pull the trigger on LA Knight.
Fuck that tree.
You would have to be delusional to think that that is how they would actually follow through on this. I think they see a straight line from Roman Reigns and his current run as the World Heavyweight Champion to Obafemi at WrestleMania next year. And I think they want Obafemi to be the one to end this run of Roman's. Like Roman had his 1,316 days. Nobody could beat him. Not in a singles match. Actually, the only person who I think they let beat him was his fucking cousin. Nobody else could. If it's cousin, it's okay. It's blood. Anybody else, not okay. That's why Kevin Owens had like 15 title shots and lost all 15 of them. But in terms of singles matches, he went so long, so like it would mean more when he finally got beat. And the idea that of all people, if they were going to interrupt this reign, that they would give it to LA Knight, it's just laughable. Have you not paid attention to this man's booking over the last 3 years? What have they done to demonstrate to you that this is going to go any other way? But if they were going to do it, I'm just saying, that would be the way to do it. Let Solo be back in the family for a couple of months, and when the time is right, boom, he drops the hammer, breaks away from the family, helps LA Knight win the championship. Not going to happen, but pipe dream, probably. Solo beat him to... Oh, did Solo beat him? When did Solo beat Roman? I don't remember this. Maybe he did. More family. So you may be right. I don't remember this. I know Jey Uso pinned him in that tag match, though. I think it was Money in the Bank, and that's what led to Tribal Combat with him and Roman at SummerSlam, and they had that terrible match. Senpai says, God almighty, he's done it. LA Knight is the heavyweight champion of the world. Yeah, keep dreaming. Keep dreaming, brother. It's nice to dream. Nothing wrong with having a dream. Crown Jewel in Saudi. That's right. They had that 6-man tag. Okay. So 2 of his family members had pinfall wins over Roman. I stand corrected. Instead of 1, it was 2. Joseph Stewart. By the way, people were asking like what the likes goal was. We landed on automatic be the booker. So we can get an extra round if we hit the bonus goal, but we're guaranteed 1 round. So that superseded any sort of likes goal. It's one of those new options on the wheel. Joseph, I hope you're having a good Monday, brother. Haven't heard from you in a couple of weeks. Did I see Joey Janela and Megan Bayne against Nick Wayne and Alec Price? And what are your thoughts on the tag match? I did not see it. Alec Price is very talented, though. I'm sure it was a very good match. I mean, so is Nick Wayne. They're all talented, but Alec Price in particular has impressed me when I've seen him, especially on the independents, the matches that I've seen or called that he's been in. How different would Brock Lesnar's career look today if he would have gone to TNA instead of WWE if Paul Heyman had gone to TNA? I don't think he would have been in TNA for very long. I don't think Brock would have had very many matches there. I think he would have done it as a favor to Heyman. I don't think Heyman with TNA would have been a long-term thing either. And I think he would have ended up back in WWE regardless. Is it true that Shane McMahon almost bought ECW before Vince McMahon bought ECW? No. No, he wanted it, but it never came close. Vince said no. Vince said no. Vince said, let it go into bankruptcy, and then that way we can not only get the assets, but we can get Heyman. That's according to Heyman himself. There's a lot of things that Shane wanted that Vince put the kibosh on. He wanted to buy ECW and run it. Actually, 2 different times I think he wanted ECW. He wanted to run it in 2006 as an online only, like a streaming show, instead of being on TV. And then they could have been a little more risque with it. But I mean, streaming, this was 2006, right? Streaming now looks very different than it did 20 years ago. He wanted to buy ECW. He wanted to buy Pride Fighting. He wanted to buy UFC. He wanted his father's validation. He wanted to show his dad that he could take something and he can run it and be successful with it. And then maybe he could be the heir apparent, right, in WWE. And not his sister. And it didn't work out that way. Oh, Joseph has been traveling the past few weeks. That's okay. Where have you been traveling to? I'd like to go traveling myself soon. Have you watched the Amazon Prime Batman animated series season 2 on Prime? I have not. No. Although I've heard good things about, what's that, X-Men 97? I've heard good things about that. What are your thoughts on Tom Holland and Zendaya having the biggest box office draws of 2026? Good for them, right? That's Odyssey and Spider-Man. Very impressive. I've seen the Odyssey. I thought it was great. I did not see Spider-Man because I would like to... It's not going to happen, but I would like to try to go back and watch all of these Marvel movies in order so I can, you know, get to Spider-Man and actually know some of the cameos or the context behind certain things. So basically, I'm never going to see it. That's basically the reality. I'm never going to get to it. We got Awesome Assassin 21. Thank you again, Joseph. Buy or sell on who has had the better career, Michael Cole or Tony Schiavone? The better career? I mean, how would you define better? Who do I think made more money? Michael Cole. You know, who's had more longevity in one role for the longest period of time? Michael Cole. But Tony Schiavone, you know, God, what year did he start? It would have been 85, or was it earlier than that? It was probably around 85. And all through the Jim Crockett promotion days, and then WCW, and disappeared. He had 1 year in WWE. Disappeared, though, after WCW went under. He had one rogue cameo on a TNA show where he played heel, and then came back in MLW. I interviewed him for the Sound Off. I got a whole interview with Tony Schiavone. This was during the period where he was doing commentary for MLW. He had come back to wrestling, and it was like, wow, Schiavone's back. This is great. And then he ended up in AEW, and he's been with AEW ever since. So he's had a pretty incredible career himself. But, you know, what do you mean by better career? You know, Schiavone's moved around more, but Cole having the run that he's had for that many years is very impressive. Buy or sell on the better GM, William Regal in NXT or Dario Cueto in Lucha Underground? Oh, Dario Cueto. He was the proprietor. Wasn't the general manager. He was the proprietor of Lucha Underground. And the correct answer is Dario Cueto. Dario is the best to ever do it. I'm sorry. He's number one. He has usurped On the Take Tunney from the 80s and 90s. Jack Tunney. Death Scythe. If Dark Side of the Ring can do an episode on Daphne, who passed away a year after Hana Kimura, then there's no reason not to do one on Hana Kimura herself, because her story deserves to be told. I think it will be at some point. I just don't think that she has the notoriety that Daphne had. They had like access to TNA footage and WCW footage. She was more well known to wrestling fans in that regard, and I think that was because of that, that was an easier episode for them to make. Because of all that footage they had access to. So that's why they did it. At some point, it would make sense to do an episode on Hana. Maybe part of it also was the fact that, you know, all those terrible things that people were saying about her on social media, that had nothing to do with wrestling. Those weren't wrestling fans who were making those comments. My recollection of that story is that it had more to do with the reality TV show that she appeared on. She just happened to be a wrestler who appeared on this reality TV show, and she got a lot of really horrible comments made about her on social media that didn't really have anything to do with wrestling. So it's Dark Side of the Ring. And maybe that plays into why they feel like, you know, it's not worth doing an episode on. I don't know. I don't know. I still feel like at some point they'll do one. Dry Chicken says, I'm watching the 2008 Iron Sheik interview on the Howard Stern Show over tonight's Raw on Netflix. Interesting choice. Any updates on Jim Ross? Jim Ross is undergoing brain surgery on Wednesday to have a shunt put in. That is the update on Jim Ross. Death Scythe says, I rewatched Rude Hogan for the WWF title on January 9th, 1988. And I wish WWE would dub over Rick Rude's WWF theme with his WCW theme. Who doesn't want to hear Simply Ravishing and Real American back to back? Yeah, that's the one thing I don't understand. Like, they've played his WCW theme before, so they must have the rights to it. But every time they dub over his WWF theme, they dub over it with the most generic sounding fucking slop. I'm like, just use the WCW theme. That's an awesome theme too. Yeah, his entrances have been completely just neutered every time he comes out in one of these old matches. It's terrible. Deathside says, those two theme songs are better than the drizzling elephant-sized shits that Def Rebel loves to squirt out these days. What, his dubbed over? Oh, you're talking about the OG themes. I was going to say, the dubbed over Rick Rude theme is every bit as bad as any Def Rebel theme I've ever heard. It's fucking garbage. Philip Bowman, who was mishandled worse, Abyss in TNA in 2010 or Mike Awesome in WCW? Oh, Mike Awesome, 2000 WCW. Give me a fucking break. Not even close. I'll take Abyss in the Magic Hall of Fame ring over Mike Awesome, the Fat Chick Thriller in WCW. You talk about killing a guy dead. Holy shit. Broly says WWE creative could cool off a volcano. It's true. GMB, Roman is such a nasty politicker. The fact that he refuses to let any of his family get over is insanity. No wonder all the top guys went over to SmackDown. I don't know, Jey Uso got over pretty good there for a while. Without Roman, Jey Uso is not in the spot that he is in. 110%. Not in the spot. Now, unfortunately, Jacob Fatu, for the time being, has been very cooled off from where he had been previously and where it looked like he was about to go. And then they pulled back. That is true. Death Scythe says, how is the Bloodline benefiting Jacob Fatu? How is the Vision benefiting Braun Breaker? And how is the Judgment Day benefiting Dominic Mysterio? The answer is, it's not. I mean, you have to imagine at some point Jacob Fatu is going to break free from this whole tribal chief nonsense, and then you hope when that day comes that the fans respond to it and he'll be on his way. But for the time being, the answer is it's not benefiting any of them. Not a single one of them. It's not benefiting Dom, it's not benefiting Breaker, and it's not benefiting Fatu. Fatu, at least, you can make more of an argument for, since he's kind of like the enforcer of that crew. The other two, there's absolutely no excuse for it. Super Pony. Actually, Philip first. Philip says, just a dumb thought, but how come when they do the Shield chair spot, one of them has to be in the help me step bro position? Yeah, maybe we could stop doing that spot. How about that? Super Pony, punishing someone who organically gets over is what we do. Triple fraud voice. Feel awful for Solo. Dude was having a great babyface run. Yeah, I don't think, it's not that it's over, it's just that they're taking a little detour with it. I don't expect him to join the Bloodline, if he does, for very long. I don't think they've necessarily given up on the babyface run, but it looks like we may be taking a bit of a detour for a couple of months. MGM Ballin with a $9.99. Was an honor to greet you on Friday while I was talking to JD. You guys are awesome. HOG is easily the best wrestling to watch in person. Oh, live? Yeah, live. It's always a fun experience, especially in that venue. It's always a fun experience. I was glad you got to experience that, brother. Nick Grasso, if they have to strip Chelsea Green of the women's title, then they should give it to Charlotte so they can build to Alexa turning on her. Maybe when Rhea comes back, her and heel Alexa for the title. No, I don't want them to give the title to anyone. Keep it on Chelsea. Unless they had a really bad progress report and she needs surgery and it's like a worst case scenario, she's not going to be able to wrestle for fucking 6 months. Then at that point, you have no choice. You have to take it off of her. Failing that, though, keep the belt on her. Give it a few weeks and then put a mask on her. She can still pull it off. Prince Vegeta, do you have any idea as to why, when he returned to WWE in 2010, they changed Bret Hart's classic Jim Johnston theme to that remix? That remix was kind of trash. I think you just answered your own question. As soon as you said Jim Johnston, there's your answer. You talk about a buzzkill, man. That guy was gone from television for 12 years. That was his first appearance on Raw in 12 years. And everyone is expecting the music to hit, and they hit that opening chord, and then it goes into this fucking remix. I remember listening to that going, ugh. Talk about ruining the moment. What is that? Philip says, has the idea of bringing HOG to Pittsburgh come up? It has not. We have been to Philadelphia a couple of times. We've not had any conversations about Pitt. We've had conversations about a bunch of different places that we're going to be hitting, but as of this moment, Pittsburgh is not one of them. It does not mean that Pittsburgh will not be in the conversation at some point. It just has not up to this point. Prince Vegeta 95 Got the week off of work and listening to the stream while building my new Lego Donkey Kong arcade set. Cheers, Solo. You are the best in the game. Lego Donkey Kong arcade set. It's interesting. I had gotten the Lego Game Boy as a gift, maybe around my birthday, I think it was. It's pretty amazing what some people have done with it. If you look online, like on YouTube, there are people that have put actual... Enough! Wow. Thank you, Barry. There are people that have put actual working screens in the Game Boy, in the Lego Game Boy. I mean, I could never. I wouldn't even know where to begin with that. I just tried to like start putting the Game Boy together and then realized that I'm pretty sure it's missing a piece. And I just got so frustrated. Like I just could not. I'm convinced that there's a piece missing. I just threw my hands up. I said, I'm fucking done with this. Is supposed to like, it's supposed to be calming. You know what I mean? It's supposed to just like be a fun exercise. And it was driving me nuts. And I said, I can't do this. Like, I know you can reach out to them and be like, oh, I'm missing a piece. And they'll set like, no, put it back in the box. And that was the end of that. Hopefully you have more luck with yours than I had with mine. I did have luck, however, with the Sonic. There's a Sonic level. Looks like a level right out of a Sonic game. That one came out well. That was a few years ago. That was during COVID. Yeah, because that was before I was doing the Monday night streams. I was watching Raw, I think at the kitchen table on my iPad or whatever, while I was putting together the Sonic Lego set. I was like half paying attention to Raw, working on that. I did that for a few Mondays. Lady Morn with a $5 super chat. Dom went from someone I could see getting a 2015 Seth Rollins-style world title run to someone who can't buy a single minute of good TV time on WWE. It is quite something, isn't it? His stock has gone down considerably. Considerably. And to think, like, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but I think he had more matches in a single year than anybody in the company. Like, he was working nonstop, and they had him, you know, he was very visible on television, like multiple segments. I don't know what happened. He pissed somebody off. Base Beer says Roman is excellent and overrated. Do you agree? I would suggest you tune into the Uncrowned Wrestling show tomorrow. I did not have a chance to address the whole Roman overrated, the Conrad Thompson controversy and everything from this past week.
Amazing Gunther. Jerry Lawler loves Gunther the Magnificent. All hail Gunther.
Out of nowhere, like an RKO, comes the Randy Bobandy with a Gunther bomb, a $50 Gunther bomb. To get us to 8 out of 10 on the bonus goal, too. Look at that. Been a while since I dropped a Bobandy bomb. Just had to drop some love. Thank you. Well, Randy, you're awesome. Thank you, brother. Always love those Randy bombs. Or a Bobandy bomb, he said. Those are the best kind. Thank you, brother. Always appreciate the support. But anyway, so to Base Beerus, I will be giving my opinion on that tomorrow. I'm planning on including that in the podcast tomorrow. So I would suggest you give that a listen. Super Pony says KO is 0 for 11. Oh my God. 0 for 11 in world title matches since 2017. If he loses. In Toronto, it'll be 0 for 12. A guy of his caliber should not have that on his resume. Give the man his moment in front of his home country. I'm here for it. I'd love to see it. I hope they do it.
Look at Richie Rich over here dropping all this money on me.
Uh-oh.
Hey, I just want you to
Look
know.
who it is.
I think you rock. I don't mean
It's
the
Brian.
Rock, a rock. You rock. And I just wanted you to know that.
It's Brian. Brian Finelli, who is on vacation right now, by the way. He tweeted me a photo earlier. I don't know if are you on a cruise? I don't know if he's on a cruise or not. I thought maybe you were on a cruise and you docked somewhere, but wherever he is, I want to be there. He's on some Caribbean island. Says, Shannon and I had a good night at the casino. Appreciate you, Solo. It looks like it. We got a $100 bomb from Brian Finelli. Well, enjoy your vacation. I'm very jealous. I wish I was there. I wish I was in a similar tropical location right now. Very different when you're on like an island like that or something, as opposed to being in New York the way it's been this week, and it's 90 degrees in New York. It's not the same as if it's 90 degrees in Bermuda or Aruba or Jamaica. Brian and Randy with back-to-back bombs to get us to 9 out of 10 on the bonus goal. Jeremy Rose, it should be Penta versus L Knight. Yeah. Lucha Knight. Lucha Knight going to be doing a tope suicida. A tope con hilo. Jeremy also says, I think we get Oba beating Braun whenever they wrestle. Probably soon. Then Braun gets his revenge by cashing in at Money in the Bank right after Oba wins the title. Oba is not challenging Roman in Money in the Bank. LA Knight is challenging Roman in Money in the Bank. So that's a fine idea, but it doesn't really work in the way that you wanted it to. Misfit Wrestling Podcast, what did you think about the Shinsuke Nakamura vignette on SmackDown? Who is Nakamura bringing with him, Naraku or Hiromu Takahashi? Yes. One of those two. I was thinking Naraku. But they do tend to want to put or keep couples together. And since Io's on Raw, I don't know if it'll be Naraku. But it's got to be one of those two, no? I mean, who else would it be? They're bringing back Ike Manjiro? I mean, who else would it be? It'd be Lord Tenzai. They're going to bring him back. Remember Lord Tenzai? Deathside says, honestly, I'm starting to think John Cena should have dropped the Intercontinental title to Penta at Survivor Series instead of Dominic Mysterio. Yeah, I mean, again, there was no thought process to, okay, is this going to actually lead to anything of substance for Dominic Mysterio? We just want to put him in there so John Cena could give a newer, younger guy the rub. I mean, just the opportunities that they have squandered. It goes back to WrestleMania 39. When he gave the rub to Austin Theory and they proceeded to do nothing with him. Nothing. So many matches, so many wins that should have meant something and they meant absolutely dick. They meant nothing. A complete and total waste. Whatever there was for Cena to give at that point in his career, it was all a waste. An absolute waste. Outside of, the SummerSlam win over Cena that they gave to Cody Rhodes. Kung Fu Joseph. Hey Solo, this week marks the 25th anniversary of Austin starting the What chant. Well, that is a dark anniversary. That is not to be celebrated. Super Pony, if Creative told you the only way to get rid of the bloodline forever is for Roman to be the big dog again, what would your answer be? I would say, okay. And then you put the dog down. Squandering good things. It's what we do. It's what we do, Solo. It's what we do. Hey, Alejandro, I'm very sorry for your loss, brother. I'm very sorry to hear that. Best thing you could do is just 1 foot forward, one day at a time. There's really nothing that anybody can say. I mean, you're saying that happened today. That's awful. That early in the process, there's really nothing you can do. You just have to sort of process a loss like that and then just make sure that you're occupying yourself in some way. You know, I just try not to just sit around and just focus on that, because it'll just take you to a dark place. Take your mind off it in any way that you can. And only really the passage of time can bring some relief. You know, there's very few losses in life as bad as that. But, you know, you got people here that you can hang out with and talk to. It's the best thing I can offer you. I wish I could offer you more. I'm very sorry. Retro KOH says TFC. Oh, you're renaming the BFT. I see. TFC. Traumatismo por fuerza contundente. Lucha Knight's finisher name. It says, just stick to the acronym. It sounds close enough. The TFC. EJ Slim says, have you seen No Country for Old Men? Yes, I have. It's a great movie. Do you see Anton Chigurh's influence on 2008 to 2010 Jericho? Calm, cold, and inevitable. Javier Bardem is a GOAT. I mean, Jericho has said he modeled his character, after that character. So you definitely see certain influences in Jericho's character in 08. He played it so well, though. I mean, very, very creepy and unnerving. Deathside says, I know I pitched Cody and El Grande, but honestly, I would not mind seeing Cody and Rey Mysterio at Worlds Collide. It will probably be the last big match of Rey's career. No, I mean, the last big match of Rey's career should be a mask match against his son. I don't know why you think that would be the last big. So you think Worlds Collide next month is going to be the last big match of Rey's career? Why? What has been done or said recently that would lead you to believe that that would be the last big match of his career? Unless you don't consider a mask match with his son to be a big match. If you mean big names, it's possible. No cap. GCW said, you're on your own, Arik. This shitstorm is... yeah, they put a statement out, a comment. Basically saying that they've worked with Arik Cannon before, but his thoughts, like on the whole AJ Styles and his son situation, are his thoughts alone, and GCW does not share those thoughts. Because I think Avery Styles was in GCW for that match with Marcus Mathers. I think that's where the match that he came in for took place that led to this whole blow up. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, again, check out the sound off from yesterday. I covered it in the sad tweet segment. Base Beerus, my YouTube autoplay feeds me your members only Q&A vids in the middle of the night when sleeping all the time. I never tire of them. I'm glad you enjoy them. I just wish I had more time to do them right now. I'm going to have to make some time. I enjoy doing those. Well, I certainly have gotten a big influx of like email questions. I don't even know that I would have to put a thread up in the community tab here on the channel, although maybe I would. But yeah, we'll have to do another one of those soon. Base Beerus also says, Mike Awesome had an awesome theme. Yeah, I mean, his theme song was great. His finisher was great. His theme song was very, very catchy. Deathscythe, I can definitely see Dark Side of the Ring doing an episode on Jeff Hardy, but at least his story has a happy ending. I mean, they keep the show going. They're going to have to come up with material. They want an 8th and a 9th season. Tito with a European $5.99. I laughed when you said that you had a feeling the name of the person who put in the last minute $800,000 bet was Gregory McConnor. Yeah, I remember that last minute almost $1 million bet that came in before McGregor's fight. Gee, I wonder who put that in. What is the darkest Dark Side episode? I mean, it's kind of hard to. I mean, it's kind of hard to vote against the Benoit one. That was a 2-parter. The Benoit one was pretty dark. Did they do one on Grizzly Smith? I think they did. If they ever do one on Buck Zumhofe, that'll get the win. I'll say Benoit. I don't have the list in front of me. Maybe I'm forgetting one or two that I might rank above it, but I think it has to be Benoit or Grizzly Smith. I think they did one on Grizzly Smith. Base beer is chicken or fish? Chicken. If there was a chicken shortage, I would shrink to nothing. I would turn to dust. I need my chicken. Gabriella Valentine. What's going on, Gabriella? Hello, Gabriella. Do you think Supergirl will team with Superman in the next DCU movie, or will she just be recast altogether for yet another standalone one? I mean, did Supergirl perform well enough to warrant additional movies? I feel like, I don't want to say it bombed, but I feel like it didn't do all that well. So are they going to even continue with it? If they do, I would imagine that there'd be another standalone film, and then at some point after that, maybe there would be a kind of a crossover. But they would have to do well enough to warrant that. Barry was watching Denise Salcido's interview with Leo Rush. I don't get it. What is the character? What is the story with him becoming this? Well, I mean, he was doing it on the independent scene previously. It's an entity that sort of overtakes him. I tell you what, I'm very happy to see the success that he has had bringing that back. Because for the longest time, you know, coming out on TV and just kind of being Leo Rush, and he was doing the crew thing, right? CRU with Action Andretti. You know, you were on a path to nowhere with that. It wasn't going anywhere. Now he has something that's very unique, and I think it's entertaining because he's so committed to it. And it's not going to be for it's like Danhausen. It's not going to be for everybody. The problem with Danhausen is that he was just so fucking, they abused it to the point where I don't want to see it anymore. But this character has really brought him a lot of success that he would not have otherwise had, just as plain old Leo Rush. I love it. Deathside says, Demolition got the Def Rebel special before Def Rebel was a thing back in 1990. Yeah, that was when they were just doing everything they could to just tear those guys down on the way out. Like, they treated them so fucking badly on the way out. Such a disgrace. As soon as they got the Legion of Doom to come in, it's like they completely lost interest in Demolition. They just weren't a priority anymore. They could just beat them like a drum. They changed their music. You know, I mean, they were hot baby faces too, and they turned them heel. And then they lost the belts. They stripped the music. Axe went away. It was just smash and crush. jobbed him out to a couple of Japanese stars that nobody even... I guarantee you nobody in that building in LA that night even knew who the fuck they were. You know, Tenryu and Kitao. Tenryu obviously is a very famous, Japanese name in wrestling. But do you honestly think many of those fans in the LA Coliseum that night knew who the fuck these people were? You think they knew who Kitao was? They bring these guys in, whatever promotion it was, SWS maybe, whatever promotion it was in Japan, and they beat Demolition in like 4 minutes at a WrestleMania. I mean, you talk about jobbing these guys out on their way out. And for Darso, I mean, he stuck around. They just gave him a different gimmick. But Demolition did not deserve to go out like that. That was a disgrace. As it turned out, it's probably a good idea they didn't do Demolition and LOD at WrestleMania that year, because I think, I want to say it was Hawk. I think Hawk had an injury. That's why their match with Power and Glory went like 60 seconds. I think Hawk was injured. Would have been even worse. If that's the case, it would have been even worse for Demolition. They would have gotten squashed in a minute. Randy Bobandy, again, thank you for the Gunther bomb. $50. And then Brian Finelli coming in with the $100 super chat. I Renzo says, punk ass J. And Base Beer says, the BLT. Yeah, you just go from the BFT to the BLT. Could do that. That works. All right, well, if you came in late and you missed the amazing wheel here where we landed on automatic Be the Booker. There's only one option for that on the entire wheel, and we happened to land on it. So automatically, we were getting Be the Booker here. I am happy to see that we still hit 531 likes here during the live stream. So I am happy about that. But let us go ahead and Be the Booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to Be the Booker.
Here we go. We get one round of automatic Be the Booker, or at least we get one round for now. We're one away from the bonus goal, actually. And as soon as I said that, Tuxedo T Servo came in with yes. Tuxedo T Servo said, "Enough! We're hitting the goal. Enough." So I take back everything I just said. We will be doing 2 rounds of Be the Booker. How do you like that? The words barely left my mouth and we hit the goal. All right, so we'll start with Tag Team Be the Booker here. London and Kendrick. Sometimes forgotten about team from that Ruthless Aggression era. A great team, actually. Imagine London and Kendrick in their prime from that era against Fraxium today. Because Fraxium reminds me a lot of these two, minus the mask. That would be a great tag team match. Fraxium is actually in Be the Booker, so maybe we'll actually book it right now. Let's see. No, not Fraxium, but the Killer Bees were a pretty good team back in their time. London and Kendrick, I think they could have a good one. They could do some good stuff there with the Killer Bees. Getting off on the right foot here. I like it. That's how it should be. Now, no card would be complete without a women's match. So let's go ahead and book one with Medusa, the former WWF Women's Champion. Alundra Blaze taking on Zarya. What's she up to? I haven't been paying close enough attention to what she's been doing in NXT. Is she wasting away down there, or are they doing some good stuff with her? And in our main event, Roddy Piper. Where he belongs. in the main event. He's here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and he's all out of bubblegum. But he's going to be stepping into the ring with Kenny Omega. Well, I know who's winning on promos, at least in the build-up to this match. Kenny Omega's got him licked in the ring, bell to bell. Like, it's not even close. Piper has him licked on the mic, and it's not even close. But you take the in-ring ability of Kenny Omega and you merge it with the promo ability of Roddy Piper to sell you on a match and to just give you entertaining promos. You have damn near the perfect pro wrestler. Maybe if they were just a little bit taller. But outside of that, you got the best of one, the best of the other. You put them together, and that's the ideal pro wrestler right there. That is a dream match. Roddy Piper and Kenny Omega. There you go. That's what I like to see. And now, since you unlocked it, we're off to another dimension where we get a bonus round of Be the Booker, thanks to our boy Tuxedo T Servo, who got us over the line. We need some stipulations, though. So, we have a parking lot brawl. Now, who is that I spy in the background here in this image? Obviously, we have John Cena. We have... It's Eddie, right? It's got to be Eddie Guerrero. Now, in the background, is that Luther? Luther Reigns that I see in the middle there? And then Doug Basham and Danny Basham? This is how I could tell it's 2003 SmackDown. 03 or 04? It's got to be 03. All right, we got ourselves a tag team parking lot brawl to book. The Basham brothers. Remember when the Bashams were with, what was her name? Oh, God. From Tough Enough. She was like the dominatrix. What was her name? Fuck. Is it Monique? I don't know. I forgot her name. Anyway, we have Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. God, I forgot they were tag team champions at one time. Shaniqua. Couldn't remember her name. Yes, Shaniqua. Parking lot brawl. Cody and Jey Uso against Cody and Goldust. Oh boy, it's going to be a very interesting match where we have Cody Rhodes wrestling himself in a parking lot brawl. Cody against Cody in the parking lot. Oh yeah, that's her name was Linda Miles. That was her real name, Linda Miles. Who wants to see? I know you're all very excited about Cody Rhodes. Who wants to see Cody wrestle himself? Oh boy, yeah, the Cody fatigue is real. You're gonna have some Cody fatigue there. Ladder match. All right. We need a women's ladder match. We need a couple of ladies who aren't afraid to climb. They're not afraid of heights. They got to be tall enough to reach up and pull down the championship. Julia Hart is not one of those people that I was thinking of. Julia Hart, I believe at this exact moment, is in Japan doing a tournament. And I don't know, is it like some sort of Grand Prix, I believe? I believe she's still over there. Julia Hart. I don't know about this. Julia Hart and Chris Statlander in a ladder match. How are we feeling about this? I want to throw it out to all of you here. There's a potential double sweep riding on this. Yay or nay? Buzz or bell? I'm seeing a lot of bells. I'll take it, they say. Okay. I was on the fence. I'll just say that. I was on the fence with that one. I like Statlander. And in our main event of the evening, we have ourselves a submission match. So ideally, we would land on two wrestlers that have a submission hold or a submission finish. Ideally. Doesn't always work out that way. No pinfalls, no countouts, no disqualifications. The Ultimate Warrior, who definitely does not have a finishing hold in his repertoire, unless you count the people who would tap out watching some of his matches. I know we got a lot of people who are not Ultimate Warrior fans out there. This is not a stipulation that really lends itself well to the Ultimate Warrior. That's not the person I was hoping to land on. The Ultimate Warrior and the British Bulldog in a submission match. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know we were so close. We were very close. That's just not a stipulation that works for this. I'm sorry. If it was a different stipulation, I might have gone the other way. We get no double sweep. Ultimate Warrior and British Bull, even Bulldog doesn't have a fucking submission hold, but Ultimate Warrior and British Bulldog in a submission match sounds terrible. I'm just going to level with you. It just sounds terrible. Hey, Daniel Malcolm with 26 months of channel membership. Been a while, but glad to be back. Finally got a new job after a long time, so nice to support the channel as a member again. Well, I'm glad that you got a new job, Daniel. I hope it's one that you will not be miserable at. A lot of people are miserable when they wake up in the morning and they go to work. They dislike what they do, or they don't like the people they work with, or they hate the commute. Everyone's got their own reasons. Hopefully it's something that you can enjoy and that you find fulfilling and pays you well. It's also very important. Can the Warrior at least do a Boston Crab? I've never in my life, maybe a bear hug. Maybe a bear hug. I cannot think of a single submission hold otherwise that I have ever seen the Warrior apply. I don't think he would know how to do it. I don't know that he would know how to do a figure four leg lock. I saw Hogan do one, and he completely fucked it up. Like, he put the wrong leg. It was awful. I can't imagine the Warrior trying to apply a figure four leg lock. I can't imagine the Warrior doing a guillotine. I can't imagine the Warrior. I've never even seen him do a sleeper hold. He's probably put people to sleep. But I cannot think of a single submission hold that I've seen him do. I've never seen him do an Anaconda Vice or a Go-Go Plata. God, can you imagine that? MMA Warrior. His test of strength with Hogan at WrestleMania. Okay, no, we're not counting a fucking test of strength. Get out of here with that. Warrior actually had a Boston Crab in WrestleFest. It was hilarious. Oh, man. Yes, the Ultimate Warrior doing a Kimura lock. A good old key lock. Someone tried to pass off a test of strength. Can't believe that. All right, let's get to these final super chats here. Diego. Actually, MGM Ballin'. You're preaching to the choir about job misery. LOL. Working after hours as we speak. From home, but still. Well, look, work is work. I'm working right now, but I'm enjoying myself hanging out with all you guys. Some people aren't so lucky. Diego says, love you, Solo. Can I get a birthday shout out? Yes, you may. I hope you have a great birthday. Is it today or was it yesterday? Because technically now it's Tuesday. But Diego, I wish you a very happy birthday, and I hope that you get everything that you're looking for. Misfit Wrestling Podcast, buy, rent, or sell. Entrance music. Isaac Yankum, right to censor, or the original Diesel theme. I am 100% buying on the original Diesel theme. Now, I know the Diesel theme was literally just a truck engine, but there's something oddly relaxing about that theme. There's actually something musical about it. Like, I enjoy that theme. It's not even a song. It's a fucking engine, but like, I enjoy it. I'm going to buy that one. I'm going to... I hate the right to censor. We'll sell on that. And I guess we'll rent on... yeah, but that drill. Ugh, the dentist drill. Who wants to listen to that? I hate that sound. I'm selling on both of them. Death Scythe, I have a song recommendation for everyone. Pain by Manaza. It is a very creepy and badass song. Manaza, M-A-N-A-Z-A. So if anybody wants to check out that song. I've never heard of it before. Pain by Manaza. Derek J. speaks. Solo, you forgot another great Brock moment. 12 years ago, he told Hogan, "Party's over, Grandpa," at Hogan's birthday party. That's right, I forgot about that. Hogan was having a birthday party, and Brock crashed the party and said, "Party's over, Grandpa." That was a great Brock Lesnar moment. Or when he told Heath Slater, "I don't give a shit about your kids." That was a good one, too. What about IRS's typewriter theme? I don't think he ever used that, though, on TV, right? That was only in the video game. What game was that? Raw? Royal Rumble? I don't remember him ever actually coming out to the ring to that, though. I thought he just came out to no music. Maze the Great, Ultimate Warrior tapping out. Yeah, right. Well, hey, look, Bret Hart in his book insists that he was promised, he was told. And I don't actually doubt that he was told this, but the fact that he would even believe it, though, doesn't speak to his intelligence when it comes to this. That when he won the championship in 92, late 92, that he was going to work with the Warrior at the Royal Rumble. He ended up wrestling Razor Ramon. But according to him, he was told he was going to wrestle the Warrior, and Warrior was going to put him over to the sharpshooter. Why he would have believed that, I have no idea. I'm sure somebody put that in his ear, but I mean, the fact that he would have even bought that for a second, I mean, come on now. Can you... I can't fathom. Like, even in a video game, let alone in real life, I cannot imagine the Warrior being trapped in the sharpshooter and verbally, because back then there were no tap outs, verbally submitting to Bret Hart. It is the stuff of absolute comedy. Absolute comedy. Peak. Navy 4181. Warriors finishing hold, holding up Vince for money. Retro KOH. The Ultimate Fighting Warrior versus Pride FC Hogan. Book it, Solo. Oh, yeah. Hogan told that story, too, that he was... Was it that he was thinking about or that he was being recruited for pride fighting back in the 70s where pride fighting didn't exist?
I am the
Shut the fuck up. That's another great Hoganism.
Fuck that tree.
Hey, thank you, Death Scythe, for the learning tree. House of Foxes, do you think the two-night Rumble would allow for mid-card to flourish a bit if given direction? I don't like the two-night format. I don't like it. You do it for Mania. Now they're doing it for SummerSlam. This SummerSlam didn't need 2 nights. Royal Rumble does not need 2 nights. I don't want it to go 2 nights. It is inevitable that it will, if not next year, the year after. I do not want to see the Royal Rumble go 2 nights. WWE, the way they do their PLEs now, and the lack of actual wrestling on these shows, even with 2 nights, it does not warrant 2 nights. Luis coming in with a $10 super chat. I love where I work. Never had a miserable day unless allergies kick my ass. Well, that's great. I'm glad that you're happy at work. Everybody should be. It's not practical, obviously, but nobody wants to be miserable. Linkmaster. The party was over 20 years ago, Grandpa. Warrior versus Nash. Who wins? Warrior, obviously. Warrior's not jobbing to Nash. Warrior is not taking a jackknife powerbomb either. Death Scythe, I have a song recommendation for everyone. Oh, wait, I read that one already. There was a follow-up. Sorry, it is Manzana, not Manaza. I hate autocorrect. And sorry, sent the same message again. It's nearly 6 a.m. here in the UK, and I have been drinking a lot of coffee. Well, I mean, better coffee probably at 6 a.m. than drinking other things. If you were drinking other things at 6 a.m., I would say that you have a problem. All right, so the song is Manzana. RDH, Trick loves Taco Tuesday. Let's taco about it. Let's taco about it. My God. And Super Pony. We know Sammy is getting involved in KO and Punk. How would you book a finish where he does and KO still wins? I mean, you could always book it in a way where he, tries to do something that would cause a disqualification, but it backfires. How you do that, I don't know. I mean, there's any number of ways that you can do that. There's like 15 different ways you could do that. You could have a ref bump and he comes in, he wants to help KO. KO says, I don't need you. Get out of here. I told you I don't want your help. I don't need your help. Cody is roused, right? Maybe he was down. Now he's up and he sees Sammy and he sees KO and he's like, oh, you two are conspiring against me, right? And then just kind of go from there, fill in the gaps. You could do it in a way where it results in KO winning the championship, and I hope they do. I want to see him win the belt. I said Cody. I meant Punk, by the way. I still think Cody is the champion. He's been champion for so fucking long. Super Pony says, we just read that one. I thought I saw a new one. Anyway, I think that covers all of them. I tried to answer them as best I could. And we had a couple of rounds of Be the Booker. That was fun. So all good shit. Thank you guys for a fun Monday night stream. I like to kick off the week with all the energy. Next time I'm going to be live with you will be the Dynamite post show here on Wednesday. But first, we have the Uncrowned Wrestling show dropping tomorrow. And then tomorrow night over on JD's channel will be a brand new Tuesday Night Titans. And then Dynamite on Wednesday, SmackDown. I'll be back for SmackDown on Friday. Can't wait to see the end of Oak Street on Thursday. I've been waiting to see this movie for a very long time since it was first announced. So I'll be seeing that later this week. Be well. Stay safe. Ricky says, stay away from Taco Bell. Yes. That's good advice. Stay away from Taco Bell. Be well, stay safe, have yourselves a great rest of your night, and come on back on Wednesday. Even if you don't watch Dynamite, come hang out anyway for the Dynamite post show. I'll see you guys there. Until then, take care, guys.